Hey, my sweet friends, I hope you are all well. Welcome back, or welcome if you're new. It's day 2 of our 13 Days of Halloween tutorial series. And if you're just joining in, you can find a link for day 1 at the top of the description so you can get caught up. And remember to listen throughout the video for the question of the day. For today's project, we are creating a hybrid style folio. I'm using envelopes that I picked up from Amazon, and this folio has a couple of shortcuts that make it a fast and easy project. And so this is going to be perfect for gift giving or creating for craft fairs. So if that sounds good to you, then stick around and we'll make it together. For our project today, we're going to be working with the Photoplay paper Creepin' It Real collection. And this is a really fun, very retro inspired. One thing to keep in mind for this collection is that there is only one sheet of cut aparts. There is a variety of sizes on that, so it's a nice selection, but it's not going to be for a project where you want a lot of these cut aparts to be used as inserts like we did yesterday. With the simple stories, we were able to get 12 and have no duplicates. But for this one, it's going to work out fine because we have 2 pockets and we're going to utilize these cut aparts as our inserts for that. I'm also going to be using these envelopes. I picked these up from Amazon and these are A2 size. They didn't have any packaging on them, but I can link them in the description. There were 50 in the pack for $6. So I think that's a good value. You're gonna get quite a lot of crafty use out of these. And so here is that envelope, and it would be my first instinct to slip that flap into the envelope so that we got a nice finished edge here, but it did prove to be kind of a challenge. So I'm gonna decide to flip that flap over onto the back and adhere it there. And so you're still gonna get that nice finished edge, and you're still going to get the benefit of the extra thickness of paper, but now you will also get an added layer of adhesive here, so that will be nice when you're assembling your folio. This is an A2 size envelope, which means that it is 5 3/4 by 4 3/8, and so I'm going to add this to my cardstock. And this is going to act as pockets for the A2 size cards. So let's just add a little bit of double-sided tape around, and then we're also going to add our 2 glue combo. Then I'm going to add this to my paper with the pocket side out. And so this paper is going to be the cover. It's the 65-pound weight heavy duty cardstock. It is 5 3/4 by 9 1/4, and that's going to give us enough depth in the spine for allowing all the bulk of the inserts that we want to add. So I'm just going to line that up there. I know it's difficult to see when you use these darker cardstocks, but just get it lined up in the corner and then along the side and the bottom. I have prepared an envelope for this side already. So I'll just continue on with my 2 glue combo. And remember, we're keeping the top of the envelope toward the outside. I'll bring this whole thing to my scoreboard and line up the corner here with one of the grooves on the board. And that's where I'll make my score line for this side. Because I'm right-handed, it's a little easier for me to flip that around and then find another groove to line the bottom of that envelope up to. This is going to give you a perfect amount of spacing for those envelopes. I just made a couple of light passes so that I didn't inadvertently break through that paper. And then of course you want to flip that over and fold on your score lines to give yourself a nice crisp edge on the outside. And so this is going to be one portion of our folio. As you can see, I've started to add the collection papers to the inside, but as we have those pockets that are going to be the correct size for an A2 size card, I figured we'll just make that an A2 size card and use that as a folded insert. So this black cardstock is 5.5 by 8.5 and scored at 4 1/4. So that would be a standard A2 size card. Now I want to add my pattern paper, and I'm going to keep in mind that one of these will come in from the left and one of them will come in from the right. So I want to be aware of my pattern paper placement so that I don't get anything out of order. And so I'm just going to add these patterns, and this one is 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. And that way we're going to get a nice border of our black cardstock. The 2 pages that are inside, I plan to match, but you don't have to. It is important to get through your stash, even if you have to mix and match. Another thing I have picked up recently is adding a layer of a contrasting cardstock so that it can act as a place for journaling to be added or a secondary photo mat. And so I'm just going to continue on with that same measurement, but this one is going to be cardstock. I think that will be excellent to add my journaling and also stretch that collection a little bit further because you're using some of the cardstock rather than the pattern paper. So this will go into my pocket here, and those additional layers of paper make it much more sturdy, so it's easier to slide that in there. And so this is going to act as a folded insert that you can remove, and then I used the remaining paper while I was cutting the pages, the offcut, for covering this pocket. And so this is going to be 5 3/8 by 3, and that will give me the B side and the A side for my inserts. So I have prepared one for this side as well. I did find it a little easier to add my insert first so that I could see the contrast of those layers. And this is made identically to the one on the other side, but it will open toward the right instead of toward the left. That way they all line up. And I find it a little easier to get these positioned if I have the long side closest to me. And so this is one of the 2 envelope sections that I've created. Here is the other one, and you can see that I have used the same technique with all the same measurements. And now I need to connect these together. And here is where that second shortcut comes in. I am going to create a one sheet wonder style of pocket, and that just means that I'm skipping right to my pattern paper and I'm creating the pockets with the scores. And so this is going to be seven 3/4 by 8 3/4, scored at 4 3/8. I turned it, and then I scored it at 5 3/4, and that is the height of our envelope. So when we fold over the remaining portion, this is going to become our pockets. And so we will seal these up on the ends with our Tombow. Before that though, I did fold this in half, you see, and I just clipped off a little bit here so that it will remove the bulk from the foldy section here in the middle. And so I want to mention that when you're working with 2 sets of measurements, as I am for this book, keep in mind which portion you're working on, because I had it in my head that we were still working with the cards rather than the envelopes. And so look what I did, you guys. I'm so sad. I made one of these and it's too short. And so I cut through a piece of paper, and it is not wasted because I can use it on something else, but it's not going to fit here. You see it is too short. So I went back and I cut a different one. This time I have the size right. And so this is going to connect those two envelope sections and give us pockets. So the first thing I want to do, of course, is to seal up these pockets, and I'll use my Tombow. You'll just have to put this on and then press that into place while the glue sets up, because you want it to be very well secured. So I'm going to do that off camera, and then I will rejoin you when we're ready to adhere these portions together. I have added my double-sided adhesive, and I will be continuing to use my 2 glue combo. So let's take the backing off of the tape now. Add our Tombow. Make sure I have these in the right order. And then match these corner to corner. Give that some good pressure while that glue is contacting both surfaces. The tape will hold it in place so we can continue to work along. Two glues again for this side. Be easier to take the insert out first and get that lined up, same as the other side. And then put our insert back in. So here's our book to flip open. We have those folded inserts, and then our pocket section, and then the last set of A2 size folded inserts. So now that we have pockets, we can include some of those cut aparts. And I just picked 3 for each side. And I'll add that here. There is additional room in here for flat keepsake and mementos. And now what I want to do is add some of that collection paper to the cover. We have elected to add another layer of that black cardstock just for an extra bit of sturdiness. So this will be 5 3/4 by 4 3/8. And then the pattern paper is going to be 5 5/8 by 4 1/4. And I have joined some patterns together just to get a little bit more use out of that. And so I'm just going to drop that there onto the back cover. Then I'll add a little bit of my tape. This will secure my trim. Once again, I'm using this pretty black plaid from Really Reasonable Ribbon. And the front cover is made exactly as the back. This will sandwich the trim in between the base and our pattern paper layer. Have a doily. I cut this one from black because I wanted to have a lot of contrast here, and so I'm going to add that with double-sided tape, a little bit of hot glue. I'm putting it higher than middle, but in the center right to left. And here's where I needed that contrast. This is one of the images from the cut apart, and I just die cut that with a tag shape, pop that up on a spacer, and added an eyelet with some twine. And so this is going to go right on top there. Now you can see if I had a white doily, that would not have shown up as well. I created an arrangement here with more of those handmade flowers, more of the trim, the spooky netting with the spider web, black die cut foliage, and loopy twine bows. And I'm just going to add this here with a little bit of hot glue. We have a couple of jack-o'-lantern charms. I thought those went well with the pumpkin the little ghost is holding. So of course I want to add that with hot glue again, and then top the strings with a vintagey button. Tie this book up. Trim this ribbon. Then I'm going to put on a couple of charms here, and this is going to be a good time to share the question of the day. So let me know, what is your favorite movie to watch during Halloween? Now, I don't necessarily mean it has to be a Halloween movie, just one that you enjoy and gives you the holiday vibes in. So I have a three-way tie for that. I really like Ghostbusters, the original one. I also really like the original Beetlejuice. And then lastly, I really love Lost Boys. And I think that combination is probably going to date me a little bit. But those are just some that we tend to watch every year. And even though it isn't specifically Halloween, it is something we enjoy watching during the holidays. So let me know in the comments, what is your pick? You can have a three-way tie also if you like. Just let me know down in the comments below. So that's going to be it for day 2. I sure do hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, don't forget to come back tomorrow for day 3. Remember to comment, like, and subscribe, and check the description for links. I'm wishing everyone a happy and productive day, and I thank you so much for watching. Bye.